over here making some stuffed bell peppers.
What's going on, everybody?
Hello, welcome in.
Thank you, Gandhi.
They are in the oven now.
Any family red flags to report?
3 different dudes showed up claiming.
All opinions are those of the participants making them and are not an endorsement of any position, program, religion, or political affiliation. DFG's Corner is for information, observations, and entertainment. I ask that you like, share, comment, and subscribe.
Welcome, everybody. This is DFG, the man with the golden voice, the lady's choice, and of course, smooth as a Rolls Royce. I'm coming to you live from the 571 where I'm having fun and I'm getting things done. Today's show, I'm going to talk about. I didn't come up with this until about 20 minutes ago, but I used Copilot at work and Copilot at home, and I typed a simple question: what is in store for black people in 2026? If y'all didn't know, there's a lot of stuff going on in 2025 that, although we hadn't been directly involved, our names have been in people's mouths. So I want to talk about what's in store for 2026. I'm gonna have a video in a few, just putting it together, and we'll talk about that. Um, with that, we're going to cover the economic outlook, political representation, health and well being, education, civil rights, and social justice. So, before I go on, I got my teammates on. First, I'm going to talk this week. I'm going to do a little different. I'm going to go to the lady that's sweet as Snapple. Her name is Apple. Holla at your boy, Miss Apple.
Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone's doing well, and this is going to be a great show as usual. I'm very excited about this topic, even though I just heard it. I think everyone on the panel and in the audience are going to have some good feedback.
I feel you. I feel you. And next, but not least, is my favorite girl, the Chocolate Pearl, where my sister from the same Mister and same Mrs. What's going on, Chocolate Pearl? I guess her mute button is not working today. So I'm going to talk. I'm going to move on talking about the fam. I got Big Al, who's
Oh, I'm sorry. I got it. Hey, 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 y'all. You gotta be smarter than the equipment, ain't it? You always say.
that's what I always say.
I hope we have a good show tonight. I mean, good to see everybody. Hello to everybody out there in social media land. Glad you're joining in.
And got a little bit of echo, Pearl. Either you or Dab's got to cut your mic. So going on, I'm gonna talk about Big Al, my pal from LA, but he's living in GA. What's going on, Big Al?
Yeah, I'm hanging in there, but your volume is very, very low. I don't know if it's just me or if it's
Yeah, I'm
across the
hanging in there with a
podcast,
little
but
bit.
I can barely hear you. But everything is going well. Getting ready for the potential government shutdown at midnight tonight. So that's going to directly affect my son who works at Army Cyber Command. So we'll just
And
pray
me
that it'll be
too.
a short.
If it closed out, I might not have a job tomorrow.
I think it's going to shut down.
Hey, I hope not. Do I sound a little better now?
Oh yeah, 100% that.
Okay,
100% better.
okay. And also, I can't forget Miss Kim, who's not slim. She's thick in the right places and stays in the right spaces. Go on, Miss Kim, holla at your boy.
Really? Hello, everyone. Got a slight headache, but I'm here tonight.
That's good. That's good. That you're glad that you made it and glad you're here. So I'm gonna talk about some things. I got my people in TikTok land. I want to thank everybody for coming on. I just hope you stay on, and if you got something to say, just let me know, and I'll drop the link, and you can come on Zoom and get on the show. I don't discriminate, white, black, Puerto Rican, or Asian. Y'all can come on and put in your 2 cents. But right now, I'm gonna talk. I'm gonna talk about a little bit. What I did was, like I said, I went on Copilot, did a deep dive on what was going on within our community. Now, I have a personal stake in this, and I just want to say, so I typed the question: what does 2026 look like for Black people in the U.S.? And it said, hey, DFG, that was a good question. So black people are experiencing the strongest economy in generations with record low unemployment and poverty rates, rising household income and wealth. However, these gains still fall short of the true economic security. Now, with all this stuff going on, and it's not affecting black folks as bad as it is other people, and we know because we're usually near the bottom of all economic indicators. So um, that's one less meal is one less meal, but we've been making do for the last X amount of years, and we have our overall financial stability has been up, but it hasn't been it's not to where it could have been with all the historic things that's been happening. I'm not trying to play victim, and I'm not saying that people can't get out of that hole. However, I will say that even with a 400-year fallback, we've gotten a lot farther than we were expected to. And then our dollars still hold a lot of weight, even though we can't keep it in our neighborhood, but people want our money. So I'm gonna go to Big Al first, because Big Al grew up in the South South, not the fake South, the South South. Big Al, growing up, the economic conditions when you lived in Louisiana to where you are now, how do you see black people looking in 2026?
Well, in my parents' generation, which had a direct impact on me, uh, they were the children of mothers and fathers who went through the Great Depression. So they were a lot more frugal with their monies. They did smart things. They started to invest and do things that we had not as a people been able to do in the past. So I think from my perspective, I passed on what I used to refer to as generational wealth, but I've changed that to generational impact because I can leave money for my children and grandchildren. And if they don't do the right things with it, there's not going to be any wealth that's going to accumulate from that. So I use the term generational impact so that I can impact uh, my children and my grandchildren, but I just think as a people, our value systems have changed. And we are more concerned with driving BMWs and Mercedes and name brand clothes and shoes. So our focus is more on material things and things that deep appreciate in value versus things that appreciate. So I think we have more disposable income, but we do things that are not prudent for long term success and economic freedom with the funds that we have access to.
That's what's up, Big Al. I mean, my grandparents grew up during the Depression. My great grandparents were born in the 1800s, so I understand. And they were always, one side of my family had money relatively, and one side of my family didn't have money relatively. But we all had togetherness, and we were talking about family. So nobody was truly broke, even though we did broke things. And I agree with you in that we are entirely too materialistic. I remember when Apple lived in an apartment in Jamaica, Queens, and another a cousin of ours. She and I used to go back and forth, and at the time I was a captain, and I was in command up at Fort Drum, and she and I got into it, and she's like, "You dress like a bum," and I said I don't dress for everybody. And I said, "How much money do you have in your pocket?" And then I said, "How much money do you have in the bank? Do you own a house? Do you own a car?" And of course, she was very quiet after that. I said, "I don't have to wear my wealth. I'm doing well. I got three children, and they'll have some savings when I leave this planet. I'm not. I don't dress for the hood. I dress because it's practical. Now, I keep some nice gear. I got some nice gear. I can wear the nice stuff, but I mean, I'm not going out there spending $300 on shoes or $600 because I'm not poor, but sometimes I'll be broke, and that's how
But just
the
think
way the
about
way
it.
we're a couple of paychecks away from we're a couple of paychecks from being homeless. I hate to
But
say
just
that. Even most of us have a close to a negative net worth. Now, like I said, I'm not poor, but I try to keep some money in the cut because you never know what's going to happen. You never know if somebody's going to need something that I ain't got, that they don't, that I have and they ain't got. But I'm going to still do my thing and make sure that whatever it is, I'm not going to be caught lacking. Now, I know I'm a pass it off to Chocolate Pearl. And what do you think about 2026 and how you going to look financially, and how Black people in general going to look financially?
Well, before I answer that, I want to comment on what you said about our relative. Just think about that conversation stuck with her, and look at her now. She is
Oh yeah,
prosperous. She has the house now. She's not materialistic like like she was before, and now she's building a business. So just that conversation with her from you helped her grow. Now, where we're going to be in 2026, I'm going to be honest with you. I think the African American, the brown people may actually be okay because, um, well, let me change that. Uh, what am I, baby boomer or what am I?
you're Gen X.
Okay, the Gen X's and higher. will survive because we learned how to scrimp and scrape, as they would say. We know how to put, um, you know, two nickels together and make it look like a dollar type thing. Um, this newer generation, however, they are very materialistic. They're very lazy, and they only do anything things that's going to make them thrive. And they don't, to me, don't really know the meaning of community. We grew up knowing the meaning of community, and even though a lot of people don't know the background of the story about it's the what's the name of this? It's like the pot. It was something in the movie Apple Cake where they said if you had a potato and your neighbor had an onion and somebody had you put all that together
Stone
in
soup.
one pot.
Stone
Say it
soup.
again.
Stone soup.
Stone soup. We know how to create stone soups. This newer generation doesn't know how to create or make stone soup. You know, in their mindset that it has to be expensive to be good, and which they don't realize that the same expensive stuff is really made the same way that a inexpensive thing is made. It just has somebody else's name on it and they charge more. But they
Yeah,
don't
I
see it in
think
that
China
manner.
showed. I think China showed us that earlier this year.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's just a matter of how we grew up to survive and will that next generation. The Gen X, I believe, will survive. So Daz and I, we went through a lot of stuff just in 1 year, losing our jobs and had to combine things, trying to stay afloat. But we learned how to make it work. I was just laughing, actually, just yesterday, because we come home every day, and I get home so late, and he comes home from teaching children. That's draining by itself, and we have to still move stuff into the house. Um, nobody bought groceries, or we had in the refrigerator, that's what we had. But we knew how to just put all kinds of pieces of whatever's in the refrigerator and the cabinets together just so we can eat. It didn't have to look like it was, he took a couple cans of beans. I can't eat beef, so he did the ground turkey, and he called it poor man's meal. Was that what it's called? Poor man's meal. He put that together, and I ate it for 3 days.
Ain't
I
nothing
took
wrong
it for
with that.
lunch. I had
You
it for
gotta do
dinner
what
and
you
had
gotta
it for lunch
do.
2 days. Yeah, it's just a matter. And then with me, we got Chinese food one day. For some reason, it came with French fries. Nobody ate the French fries. They stayed in there. So Sunday morning, I was like, I don't have no potatoes. I took them French fries and I made a scramble with the potatoes. I mean, with the French fries. So we know how to survive. Other people or our children do not know how to survive
But
like that.
that's our fault because we hadn't we wanted to make their lives a lot easier than ours,
Easier,
and
right?
in that in some cases we kind of we made it look too easy.
Yes, we did.
We made it
We
look
really
too
did.
easy because sometimes you so used to sacrificing that you're used to going without, but you're gonna make sure your kids are good, and they might see you struggle a little, but they don't see you struggling like struggle. They don't know what
Right,
goes on behind that, and I didn't realize that until I got older, and we all know how we went back in New York. But
right.
I'm gonna go on and play this video. I just made it like 20 minutes ago, so if it got some things that ain't right, I
What
apologize.
does 2026 look like for Black people in the U.S.? Welcome to Black Futures, the podcast where we break down the challenges and opportunities facing Black Americans today. I'm your host, DFG, the man with the golden voice, the lady's choice, and smooth as a Rolls Royce. And in this episode, I am asking a big question. What does 2026 look like for Black people in the United States? I'll cover everything economics, politics, health, education, civil rights, and culture. Let's get started. Segment 1. economic outlook is a time of historic progress. Unemployment and poverty rates among Black Americans are at record lows, and household income and wealth are on the rise. Median Black household income is about $53,000, compared to $75,000 for the general population. While that's an improvement, the median wealth gap is stark. $45,000 for Black households versus $185,000 for white households. Organizations like the U.S. Black Chambers and Black Economic Alliance are pushing for policies that support Black entrepreneurship, affordable housing, and workforce development. But unless major policy changes happen, experts say it could take centuries to fully close the racial wealth gap. Segment 2, Political Representation. Let's talk about politics. The 119th Congress is the most racially diverse ever, with 139 members identifying as Black, Hispanic, Asian American, or Native American. Black women are making history in Congress and as mayors in major cities. The NAACP is mobilizing over 14 million Black voters for the 2026 midterms, focusing on voter protection and civic engagement. But challenges remain: voter suppression, gerrymandering, and underrepresentation in statewide offices are still a reality. Segment 3, Health and Well-Being. Despite some progress, Black communities still face major health disparities. Black Americans are 2 to 3 times more likely to die prematurely from preventable causes, and Black maternal mortality remains alarmingly high, even when controlling for income and education. Medicaid expansion, insurance reform, and community-led initiatives are being promoted to close these gaps, but there's still a long way to go. Segment 4, Education. Education outcomes are improving. Dropout rates among Black students have dropped from 13.1% in 2000 to just 3.9% in 2024. However, Black students are still more likely to have inexperienced or uncertified teachers and face systemic barriers to higher education. Segment 5, Civil Rights and Social Justice. The fight for equality continues. The National Urban League's Equality Index shows modest gains, but warns that civil rights progress is threatened by legal rollbacks and political backlash. Black-led movements remain strong, but sustaining momentum and achieving systemic change is an ongoing struggle. Segment 6, Cultural and Historical Recognition. As the U.S. marks its 250th anniversary, there's renewed effort to tell the full American story, including slavery, Jim Crow, and Black resilience. Museums and cultural institutions are playing a key role in this reckoning. Closing thoughts: 2026 offers real promise for Black Americans. Economic indicators are up. Political representation is growing, and cultural recognition is expanding. But the deep roots of systemic inequity in wealth, health, education, and justice still need to be addressed. This year is a turning point, demanding sustained advocacy, investment, and accountability. Host, thanks for tuning into DFG's Corner. In upcoming episodes, I'll dive deeper into these issues: entrepreneurship, health equity, and political engagement. If you'd like a visual summary or downloadable report of today's insights, let us know. And if there's a topic you want me to explore, reach out on our socials or email.
Well, that was interesting. It actually played the way I wanted it to play. Uh, so let's talk about what the video just covered. Especially with education, more Black people are going to school, even though the dropout rate is 3%, is still too high. However, understanding that the system's not going to make it easy for us, even though we can speak the language, we don't get the resources needed, and especially and overall, as you see with the president abolishing or getting rid of the Department of Education, a lot of schools that are Title One, meaning half the school, more than 50% of the school is eligible for subsidized for subsidies such as TANF, um, TANF, EBT, and free lunch, which the government is saying that they don't want to do that anymore, or they're saying they want people to work for whatever they get, but it's a paradox. And what you have to understand with this is that
yes, a lot of stuff has been stacked against us, but we as black people in the United States have to realize that nobody's going to give us anything. We gotta get it out the mud. And those who have, frankly, I hate to say this, but those who have are not doing enough for those who don't have. Now, there's some people that, and I'm going to be keep it 100. There's some people I wouldn't pee on if they was on fire, and they know who they are. I don't have to go into details, but for the most part, I'm going to always try to help out. I'm always going to try to lift each one, reach one to teach one, and lift as I go, because hey, we all in this together. We all in this together. Some people might not agree with that, but that's not how we roll. Miss Kim, you've done you had a whole bunch of um people facing professions. You were a case manager. You did some power work. You have your masters. You've done that. So as a person who's been involved with the education system, especially in a majority black district, how do you feel about what, as we go forward into 2026, from your experience? How do you think we're going? Do you think we're getting better, or we're the same, or we're going to go? Are we getting worse?
I'm gonna say, well, just by what I'm doing today, things are getting better. The previous job I had when I first moved here, when I was working fully remote, teaching job readiness skills, that was a great program because I saw in a lot of our people wanting the help in technology and wanting the jobs. That job went away, unfortunately, and it was a great program, but the director we that they had ran that job down, mishandled funds, so that job went away. Today, I do see more people wanting to further their older people wanting to further their education. We do a lot of short-term training where we pay for them to go to training as long as they receive some sort of benefits. So just from the millions of phone calls I made talking to different individuals, they do realize that it takes a little more than just a high school diploma to get a decent paying job. So I've been able to help a lot of people take that extra step forward and go into school, whether it's being a truck driver or going to school for CompTIA, just to see them get the training they need to get the job. So they're starting to understand it takes a little more education to get the jobs that they are wanting. Sometimes they run into roadblocks because they say, well, I got this extra training, but now they won't give us a job because we don't have the experience. How we going to get the experience if we don't give us the opportunity? So we send them. I've been a career coach, but we join with an organization that does that. So for us, so we can outsource it, and they're teaching them how to sell themselves and make the resume may look like, okay, I went to school, I have some training, but the resume speaks volumes to get them into the job they want. We have to tell them you can't start at the top, you got to crawl before you walk. So more and more people are starting to take advantage of that.
That's good.
That's very good. That's good to know that, and how many of those people out of the people you work with, what percentage of those are African American?
Ooh, I'm gonna say it's majority of them because right now, a lot of Hispanics that we work with are not legal, so they don't want to take that extra step because they're afraid of being deported. So it's more and more people look like us that are starting to take advantage of the opportunities that are out there.
I got you.
Mhm.
I got you. Now, Miss Dreen, are you on? Are you up? Are you sleep?
Sorry. I am up. I'm up.
Okay, I'm going to ask you. You work in Montgomery County, which 30, 40 years ago was one of the wealthiest counties in Maryland.
Right.
I know it's more diverse now than it was in 1990 something.
Yeah.
So, what do you think in 2026, as far as for black people, the few black people you service there? What do you think are the outlooks for their education wise?
I mean, I feel like the county is definitely very diverse. It always been has been diverse, but now it's more Hispanic. It's a majority minority county because most of our students are Hispanic, a little over 50%. I think, unfortunately, if you saw the literacy rates that came out this week, I believe, students just aren't reading on like they should be. And I think that probably more negatively impacts students of colors, Black and brown students. So, with that being said, I don't see such a positive outlook. And that's unfortunate, but I just feel like that's the truth.
So, what can we do as far as a community to help children improve on their reading? Not just being able to read using sight words, but understanding what they're reading and be able to synthesize thinking patterns of someone who can read.
I think we need to take the iPads away from them. Unfortunately, a lot of these babies are being raised on technology. And it's a sad situation, but I think it's impacting their ability to process and do the work of gaining knowledge that um, typically we develop because there weren't anything but books in your environment. It was a literacy rich environment. Now you're pushing buttons. It's a lot of stimulation. And unfortunately, that stimulation isn't the right type of stimulation to get that brain development that they need.
But aren't the first teachers in the home the parents?
It was the parents. And now the parents have given it up to the iPad and the technology.
So you don't see a way out of it anytime soon. And actually, it kind of makes sense and goes along with what the president is talking about. They don't want people to be able to independently think. They want people to be able to do what they're told. Unfortunately,
You are right about that.
because he did say, and I quote, "Smart people don't like me."
Yep.
Gee, I wonder
Wonder
why.
why exactly.
What do you think about it, Apple?
Um, I tend to agree with what June said as far as like the technology, or like it's making the kids lazy. Um, my granddaughter, she's 6 years old. She's smart as a whip. Um, but she loves her iPhone. Do I agree that she should have an iPhone at her age? No, but I'm not the parent. I'm just the grandparent. But what I try to foster in her, because I have a love of books, I try to foster a love of reading with her. So we turn off the TV, we put down the phone, and we pick up a book. And I don't think enough parents or grandparents are doing that. And I think what Dream said, a lot of these kids are not going to be able to read and comprehend at a high level. If
No,
we as I'm sorry. Go ahead.
unfortunately, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, no, no. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, unfortunately, Apple, Gen X and Gen Y read on about a sixth grade level, reading comprehension.
And
Because
that's
even though
sad.
because even though our parents, baby boomers, read, we read a lot less because we came up during TV. Now you got to think about that. In the 70s and 80s, we was in front of that TV. Not maybe not as much as these kids today, but we was in front of the TV. Now our parents made us read, so it wasn't.
Right. I was going to say that. Like,
our,
not me
our,
so
our
much. If you
grandparents
notice.
made us read, so we
Mm-hmm.
The
so we had the
encyclopedia.
and our kids and I made my kids read. But the thing is though is that there's no incentive for people to read and understand. They want to be told what to do, and that's not how you have a educated nation. Now, hey, if the ceramic Carls and Camille's don't want to they kids to learn how to read too good, hey, more power to them. But we really have to buckle down and start pushing literacy not only to our children but to our adults. Because yes, we can read sight words, but if we don't know what the hell it means, we're not gonna get far. Because there's too many people. You see it on social media. Too many people they parrot words and they have no idea what those words mean, but they know how to they can read them, they can say them, but they don't know what those words mean. Dabs, you're an educator. What do you think?
Well, let's see. I believe that in our current situation, I guess I can speak for Duval. What I've seen down here in Duval, it has been it's actually getting worse and worse for the schools themselves, and as the um, I guess the Black community. The biggest thing that I'm seeing here. Um, is the schools themselves is just education is just falling apart. And it's falling apart, of course, one, because we know what's happening in the system. We've had, I believe, 3 schools closed last year, and another 2 is set to close next year. So they, I guess, moved a lot of teachers around. A lot of teachers have lost their jobs, and other teachers have been safe. Um, but the worst part about it is with all the, money problems and the situations, it's affecting our students the worst because the schools that are closing, of course, are in the lower, lower districts or the F schools they call them. So they try to weed those schools out and hopefully move people around and, try to move better teachers to better spots. But a lot of times, it's more than just the teachers. Um, it's the areas. It's how it's being run and how it's being treated. So already, there's I guess, bad juju or bad karma for certain areas, certain schools, and then they fight to keep one school open and end up closing. But then all the people from that school get all upset because now you're going to move these kids into our neighborhood. It's our neighborhood.
Right.
Um, and it's terrible. It's a really bad situation I see going. Um, and the population of even our private schools, because I do a lot of private schools, where even the population in some of our private schools is just shrinking drastically. I was talking to one of the teachers at a school I used to work at. When I worked there, there was 100. We had 130 kids. I think was their highest, and she said they're down to like 80 kids now, and the other campuses are down, as well.
So where are these
Um,
kids going?
I
They're not.
have that's just it, man. And then the school districts are down, so I don't understand. They're closing schools. So I don't understand where people not having kids. What's going on? I
No,
don't understand.
that's part of it. People are having fewer children these days,
Yeah,
and people are waiting later to have children. Like as most of us in here, we had children while we were in our 20s. Now, if you, especially in our community, we have them before 20 or after
yeah.
30.
Yeah,
So if a young lady doesn't have a child by 20, chances are she won't have one till she's at least 30. But a lot of
yeah,
times, between 16 and 19 are when most of the children that you're teaching now, their parents, they probably were your students like 10 years ago, 5 years ago.
yeah, yeah. So
So
yeah, it's a big draw or big loss of time frame. It's funny because it's like you said, it's starting to go back up. The stream is starting to go back up, but it's very slow. It's a lot slower process going back up than it had been shrinking.
yeah, and here's the crazy part is that, I mean, you look at things going on today. Do people really want to have children? Because what kind of world is this child? What kind of world are these children coming up in?
Right.
And I mean, I love children. I got three, so but
My
My
daughter
daughter
says she
says she
wants to
wants to
be
be
a
a
rich
rich
auntie.
auntie.
That's
That's
it.
it.
She
She
just
just
wants to
wants
be
to
a
be a
rich
rich
auntie.
auntie.
so if you
I love
think
my
about,
children.
yeah, but I'm saying though, if you think about it, a lot of people are not wanting to have children because they can't afford it. But as what happens is the replacement rate. We have Every couple has to have 2.3 kids in order to keep the population stable. Now, some of us got 8, 9 grandchildren, but some of us ain't got.
Right.
Some of us got a lot less than that, and probably going to have a lot less than that. I don't think I'm going to be a granddad. Not my understanding my family situation. I probably won't be a granddad, but that's
So
not, you know, but that's the
let me
thing
ask you.
that you. Go ahead. Go
Let
ahead.
me
I'm
ask you
sorry.
something to that then about the population because I was listening to this guy, um, this white pastor from up in Atlanta today, close to Atlanta area, and he was talking about the population or what he sees is happening. And if you guys and anybody here think that the population of um, blacks is growing faster than whites,
No, actually, no. With the
so that's funny
amount.
because I did look up some statistics here in Duval since I've been here. Actually, population has gone up of blacks over whites and lots of other areas as well. And he said, with all the stuff that's going on with the whole MAGA stream, the whole supreme being thing, that's part of the issue is they're, and it could be more that they're afraid that that's going to happen versus it actually happening. But from statistics, when I looked at from here in Duval, it's actually gone up quite a bit since I've been
Not
here.
and I understand that because poorer people have more children than people with money.
True
But
that.
just to interject, overall, what the people that have the most children, and statistics will prove that out right now in this country, are the Hispanics. And that's why Trump is targeting first. Second is the Black woman. And then a part of it also is not only is it that because we're still not having as many, but remember, when we commingle, we have a dominant gene. Whereas when white women commingle, that white gene is recessive. So those children, that's why they're so into kind of like going back to this, whatever, quote, make America great again world, which is more of a white world. Because when white women and Black males get together, or Hispanic males get together, that their gene is not dominant. So their children usually, favor the other race. So
Right.
in in all reality, on a whole, the numbers are down except for the Hispanics, but Black women do have more children, more so than white women. And then both of those numbers are getting low just with technology, the cost of childcare, birth control. That's why they want to do all these things. It's not really about us per se. It's about them
Right.
not wanting white women to have abortions and all this stuff.
Yeah, no, you're
So,
right.
yeah.
You're right. Even though um, they don't mind if we have if our women have them, but they
Said
do
I never
mind
thought
if their
about it in
women
that
have them.
way.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's I'm
Kind of
not
what this process.
that's not conjecture. That's kind of their plan. Is that they yeah they'll they'll ban it, but only for certain people. So, but that's but it's just crazy. But overall, we even though we know things is going in the toilet for the country, overall by us minding our business and not getting involved in all that other nonsense with with CK and all those other people, those Mormons that got unalived in Michigan, and then the guy who did a boat buy in North Carolina. It's we've been pretty much we've been pretty much stepping back and saying, okay, you got it. Y'all got it. This is what y'all want. That's what you got. So just don't leave out keep our names out of your mouth. That's kind of what Will Smith was saying, but we're saying that keep our names out of your effing mouths because it ain't us. It ain't us doing all that crazy stuff. Now we do have people that are doing that, but do y'all know? Did y'all know last week, about a week and a half ago, that 3 cops got unalived in Pennsylvania?
Yeah. Well, and they sent me the article. It was close to my where I lived. Yeah. And it was
And
funny. Did they put that on the world the national news?
not really,
I know. I meant
not
to, yeah. One
not
of my
really,
cousins had sent it to me.
not really. It was on the news, but it wasn't big. I thought Blue Lives Matter and All Lives Matter, but only if the yeah y'all know the deal. Yeah, definitely know the deal. You want to say something, Big Al?
If you're MAGA.
Yeah, it wasn't televised because it was another white on white crime, and
Yeah.
that it seems to be a uh, trend of white folks outing unaliving. I guess that's the politically correct word. Whites. So with what 47 is trying to allege about the inner cities and what we are doing, uh, that goes contrary to what he's saying in the media. So that's why they kept it low key because it was a white boy that killed 3 white cops.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right
and that's
outside of where I'm from.
yeah, that's just wild. I'm just saying you know, they were more they were trying to drum up support after CK's unaliving and people losing their jobs for saying the same thing he said. That's what I can't understand. Or quoting the president, but it's most of us that have sense. I'm not gonna say those Cancun's that be on from the on the black conservatives that are Cancun's. Um, but we're basically saying we understand what y'all doing and we're not playing. We're taking our ball and going home, and I'm proud of us for not falling for the banana in the tailpipe trick. If y'all know if y'all old enough, y'all know what I mean when I say that. Um, I'm gonna go back to Apple. I know Apple just celebrated the birth of her grandson Khalil Jr. and she sent a picture. She sent a picture of his booger butt. And how is my great niece? How's my great niece handling that? Handling
Oh,
being a big sister?
she loves him. He hung the moon as far as she's concerned. Um, and he loves her just as much. He cries when anybody else holds him or is around him. And as soon as he sees her or hears her voice, he beams. So yeah, she's taking this big sister thing better than we expected because she was the only child for a very long time, the
Right.
only grandchild for a very long time too. But she's
Right.
enjoying being a big sister.
That's good. That's good. And for people who didn't know, yesterday was would have been my nephew's 27th birthday. He passed away last year, unfortunately. And tomorrow it would have been my mother's 79th birthday. She passed away back in '09. You know, if y'all on my socials, I'll be releasing the mixtape. I already did a celebration because I love my mother, and I got to celebrate her, and I was her 20th birthday present. But that's another story. But I just want to say that, you know, things aren't going to be great overall, but things for us can't go anywhere but up. So I want to say all of y'all keep your head up, get registered to vote, protest, do things do things to uplift our communities. Make sure that we get what we need because ain't nobody going to give us nothing. So we got to do our thing and making sure that we're there for each other. We're making sure that we're there for each other. But like I said, this is I got to get better. I apologize to my audience. I apologize to my co-host. I gotta start doing more research earlier. I might not, like I said, I might not have a job tomorrow. But anyway, I gotta research. I gotta start doing research earlier and preparing my co-hosts so they're not coming in cold and not knowing what the hell I'm talking about. But they know me. I try to I try to do too many things myself, and I gotta share the wealth. So I'm gonna cut it a little short today again. And before I go, I'm gonna say, Chocolate Pearl, what you got to say before we go?
I just hope and pray that tonight at midnight will not be the death of everyone's job, at least temporarily, because we all need something to survive with. And I pray that the government will do what's right in the eyes of the law, the correct law, not the made up law. And thank you for joining us today. This was a great topic, and hope to see y'all next week. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. Tell a friend to join us next week.
That's what's up. That's what I'm talking about. An apple.
I don't have too much to say. Like my sister said, it was a great topic, and I knew we were going to kill it. I'm very proud of us. Um, just everybody keep their heads up. As Black people, we know what struggle is, and we survive it each and every day. And I think we'll be fine in 26 if we just keep our eye on the prize and keep um, listening to our ancestors and survive and do what we've been doing, minding our business and drinking water.
Definitely, definitely keep your head to the sky. And I want to thank each and every one of y'all for coming on every Tuesday evening, 8:30 Eastern. And I'm gonna say my usual. If you can't laugh at yourself, find somebody else to laugh at. Y'all be good, and we'll see y'all later.
Thanks for watching. This is the man with the golden voice, the lady's choice, and of course, smooth as a Rolls Royce, saying, never make love by the garden gate. Though love is blind, the neighbors ain't.